Parents often ask me, what are some of the things that can complicate parenting plan mediation? Well, of course, there are a lot of things that can derail the process if you're not careful. And I'll probably make a few videos about this, but let me address something that can hurt you before you even get started. There are a couple of tropes or stereotypes that often pollute the parenting plan mediation process, and they get reinforced by family and friends. And these stereotypes have no business in cooperative parenting, aka co-parenting. And those are the stereotype of the gold-digging mom and the deadbeat dad. I'll tackle the gold-digging mom first because that's a little bit less complicated. So there's an evolutionary basis for women desiring financial security, and that basis is they bear children. With a few exceptions in cultures where the entire community participates in childbearing, women tend to prefer monogamy when they're trying to get pregnant because they want to know who's going to provide that security. And for security, women also tend to marry across and up the socioeconomic ladder, while a lot of men don't really care about the financial status of their partner. This is not a bad thing. It's called good parenting. So please don't bring that stereotype into the parenting plan mediation process. It won't help anybody. Looking at this a little bit further, more than 70% of divorces are initiated by women, according to the American Sociological Society. And that number is even higher when children are involved. So a lot of men feel blindsided by the divorce and just may have that feeling of being lost and confused. So when mom asks for child support, dad doesn't necessarily see that the kids need to be supported. He just feels like an ATM. Well, dad, and I'm speaking to you now, dad, she may have initiated the divorce, but understand that this is unfamiliar territory for her just as much as it is for you. Mom has a right to be concerned about her financial situation, particularly if she's got kids to feed. And dad, if you initiated it, she's probably terrified, and rightfully so. Now, mom, please understand that dad may have counted on coming home and seeing his children every day. So if that's no longer the case, he might want to cut back at work to spend more time with the kids if he can. So a lot of times, moms feel like this is dad trying to find a way to reduce the amount of child support, and sometimes it is. But for most of the cases that I've seen, dads are cutting back at work so that they can spend more time with their kids when they have the kids and actually be present. So I can solve this impasse pretty simply a lot of times. It's as simple as saying, Dad, give mom money for the kids. Mom, give dad more time with the kids. And that brings us to the other stereotype, that of the deadbeat dad. So let me give you some background about some of the things that I've read about this, and then I'll share a personal story, not about me, but a friend of mine. So by law, I was required to take an online parenting class to complete my divorce. And of course, it was written by an attorney, meaning it was poorly researched, looked like it was hastily written, full of factual errors, and it of course focused on all the wrong things. So that class, it starts with the claim that studies show that nearly 50% of non-custodial parents, that is fathers, let's be honest here, see their child once a year or less, just 2 years after divorce or separation. Well, that statistic isn't true. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, the number is closer to about 30% of dads who see their child once a year or less. But that's still a catastrophe, no doubt. And this lack of contact struck me as the most important issue covered in that class by far. But to give you an idea of where attorneys' heads are at on this issue, that class did nothing to contemplate why this was happening or how to close the floodgates of non-custodial fathers exiting their children's lives. They droned on and on about why both parents matter, without considering why so many fathers disengage. So either there are a lot of deadbeat dads, or maybe there's more going on in this story. And if you've been through this situation, you probably have an idea of where I'm going with this. A little bit more background. Statistics about divorce and custody are hard to come by, in part because the federal government defunded this research in 1996. That's a big issue, but you'll find a lot of articles claiming that slightly more fathers win custody in judge and jury trials. Yes, I did say jury trials for custody. That's a thing, but only here in Texas. While that might be true, in my experience, the type of father who's willing to go through a prolonged custody battle, those guys tend to fall into one of three categories. Either the stay-at-home dad, the dad who is legitimately concerned about mom's ability to parent, or the extremely stubborn dad who's willing to spend a fortune on attorneys and private investigators, expert witnesses, etc. What I see happening far more often is that when mom sues dad, which is typically what happens, or sometimes even when mom threatens to sue dad, dad just throws his hands up and walks away. And fulfilling that deadbeat dad stereotype, you could do a quick search of the YouTube comments on these threads, basically, of dads who post videos about their custody struggles. And you'll see a lot of guys, other dads on there recommending to the person in the video, just walk away and live your life. It's not worth being in litigation for the next 5 years or having someone pulling the strings on your life all the time. And frankly, I get that to some degree. I have a friend who lost his job a little while ago, and he is desperate to see his daughter, but he's terrified of establishing legal paternity because he'll have 2 years of child support to catch up on, and I don't blame him. Good luck getting a judge to take a nuanced view of real life. Now, well, if I were in that situation, I couldn't do it. I would just face a penalty so I could see my daughter. But look, I get it. And I understand the argument that we get 80 years on this earth if we're lucky. And who wants to be at the mercy of an unpredictable judge who may rule against you because he missed lunch that day and may actually ask you to pay for 4 years of child support? And put you in jail if you don't get caught up in 6 months or a year. And worse, frankly, is to be at the end of your ex's puppet strings. This poor guy, he's stuck in a vicious cycle, and his innocent, gorgeous baby girl is the victim. Way to go, family court. On another note, I want to be careful not to exclude the LGBT community here. In fact, I'm currently researching the struggles specific to LGBT couples. And frankly, if you're a member of the LGBT community and have a story to share about the specific custody issues that you have because you're an LGBT couple, please reach out to me because I want to know more about what's going on. And in the meantime, I hope that helps.
Okay, say love you, Grammy and Pops.
Love you, Grammy and Pops and Papa, and I want to know. And Daddy, I love you.